here have been to a Christian camp, youth retreat, family camp, kids camp? Okay, good amount, good amount. Keep your hand up if you've been to NYC before. Oh, more than I expected. Okay. Okay, nice. Well, let me see. Evan, what was your favorite part about last year? Okay, maybe somebody else.
Oh, I know. When Darrison was fighting Derek.
Okay. So that's cool. Who else went last year? Taylor, I'm gonna have you talk a little loud because I can't reach it. What was your favorite part last year?
Probably the night that we got pizza. It was only for us.
That was cool because we got to tell the people, hey, this is C Youth only. Or actually, we were in Powerhouse at that point. We're like, this is Powerhouse only. They're like, oh man, do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
People, they're like, oh, we just wanted the pizza. And we're like, sorry, it's us only. We felt all exclusive and stuff. Pretty cool. Okay, one more person. What was your favorite, Roman?
Okay, my favorite part was watching Whitney win. But yeah, I wish she won.
My lip sync battle.
Oh, wait.
The back handspring. We all remember that.
She did win.
She did fireworks.
She did win, and everyone's like, oh no, let's just not.
Yeah, I remember that. She owned it. That was a cool moment. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like you guys are picking very specific, oh, this is the funniest moment. But for me, I felt like, okay, even though it was for you guys and for students and I was just a leader there, I felt like I learned a ton that weekend. And NYC is this weekend. Hey! So I'm ready. I don't know about you. We'll get hype as the service goes on, I promise. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to learn this weekend. I'm ready to grow my faith, not just as, I'm not ready for you just all to learn, because I know you guys will all grow huge in your faith this weekend, but I'm ready to grow in my faith. I'm ready to grow with you guys, and I'm telling you, just a couple memories that they talked about, we're gonna make some incredible memories this weekend. It's literally just a weekend of cracking up and crying to God, and yes, Evan. I actually don't know. No.
We got a way cooler one.
Oh, okay.
Wait, is there a gas station right here?
I don't know.
All right. So, but first, okay. So yeah, as I was saying, so I learned a ton last year at NYC. I honestly did not expect to grow much because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna pour into these students, it's gonna be all about them. But I grew and I gained a ton of wisdom last year at NYC. But first, I want to tell you guys a story about wisdom. Not a serious story, it's a funny one. Well, kind of painful too. Okay, so when I was your age, girls, I was a girl, I still am a girl. When I was in, I think it was I was in 8th grade. Okay? I was in cheerleading, okay? Is anybody in cheer? Boys, anybody in cheer? You are in cheer? Okay, that's okay. Evan's in cheer? Okay, so I was in cheer. Listen up, guys. And does anybody know what the flyer girl is? It's the one that goes on top. She gets lifted, thrown around. Yeah. So somehow I got turned into that position, and I'm like, I don't feel equipped for this. I was always the base. I was always the girl lifting other people up, but somehow I ended up being the flyer, or the top girl, or whatever you want to call it. So it was just a bad time. So this is what happened. So I was learning this thing called, it's called an extension lib. Everybody has different names for it. Basically, the base's arms are gonna be straight up, and you're on one leg, like this, and your hands will be up like this. So it was super hard. So you start like this, and you go up all the way with your hands. So you're pretty high. I would definitely be touching the ceiling if I was on their hands. So it's a scary time. I was working all summer on this extension lib with the stunt group, and it was just a terrible time. I would get dropped all the time. I dropped from, I don't know how many feet that is, but a lot of feet. Dropped right down. They didn't catch me, barely ever. And the coaches would never say anything because they're like, oh, she doesn't know. And they told me so this is where the wisdom part comes in, okay? So they would sit me down and they say, Evelyn, if you just listen to what we have to say, your tips, staying really, really tight, staying really, really stiff, or I'm really, really strong and, solid, then I promise you'll stay up. I was like, oh yeah. And the nerves always took over. I was like, okay, and fall. And fall. And so there was this one time, this one specific fall, it was in August of, I don't know how many years ago, but there was this one fallout I had, and it was so bad that I actually had to go to the hospital because I couldn't move my neck like this. I couldn't turn it at all. I was freaking out. So I got rushed to the hospital, not rushed, but taken to the hospital. I had to quit cheer after that because I would not be able to cheer for that entire season. I had pain all the way down. I had to go to physical therapy, and like my coaches were always just like they were kind of rude about it too. They're like, if you would just listen to us, like subtle things like that. And so I was just like, okay, peace out, I'm done. So I quit. And yeah, I just wish that I would have listened to their wisdom, because if I would have listened, I probably wouldn't have been hurt. And I still have pain to this day sometimes too, which is really frustrating. So that's one thing. Listen to your coaches, even if they sound ridiculous sometimes. And sometimes they are ridiculous, most of the time. Sorry, Whit.
Hey!
Volleyball coach. No. But seriously, listen to your coaches, because they know about your body and they know what you need. And same goes for like leaders and, pastors and people like that. So, who has a notebook today? A little notepad. Lewis has a notepad. Who has a phone with them?
I do.
Cool. Open up the Notes app, because I'm going to have you guys take notes today, because I have a couple things I want you guys to hear today.
Henry.
All right. I'll give you a couple more seconds to get those notes out. All right. So if you're taking notes, which you definitely should be, this is the bottom line of the sermon. This is the one thing that I need you to hear, okay? So don't forget, if you're going to forget anything, don't forget this one sentence, okay? Here we go. Can I get a drum roll? The bottom line is, when you listen to wise people, you live wisely. So I'll say it again, because you guys probably didn't hear it. When you listen to wise people, you live wisely, okay? Does that make any sense? I'll translate it into 7th grade conversation. Okay, to put into other words, the people in your life that are the wisest, maybe your grandparents, your siblings, your parents, your pastors, your small group leaders, those kind of people, when you choose to listen to those people, when you choose to take what they're saying to you, and how they're guiding you, you too will become wise. When you listen to those things that they're speaking to you, you will become wise too. So I remember hearing those exact words 6 years ago in my youth group back in Michigan, in your same exact spot. I was like, okay, whatever, like that doesn't matter. But if you take it to heart and actually consider it, and you're not just like, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm in 7th grade, I promise you will grow. Yes? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll say it again. Here's the bottom line. When you listen to wise people, you will live wisely. That's the bottom line of the sermon. Sorry if I was speaking too fast. I know that didn't have enough time to get your stuff out. There's the bottom line. It'll be up there for a little bit longer. So yeah, in the Bible, all throughout the book, especially of Proverbs, there are tons of verses about wisdom that I was actually just looking at a couple days ago that just help me know about wisdom in the Bible and like how Jesus gave wisdom to his disciples. So these are just a couple verses that I really want you guys to hear about wisdom. So Proverbs 3:13 is, blessed are those who find wisdom and those who gain understanding. Do we have that one?
No.
Okay. No, so that's
Sorry.
Proverbs 3:13. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. And Proverbs 4:5 is, get wisdom, get understanding, do not forget my words or fall away from them. And if you're just taking notes, I would just say, just write Proverbs, and then the number would be the easiest. So far we have Proverbs 3:13, Proverbs 4:5, this is Proverbs 9:12. If you are wise, your wisdom will reward you. If you are a mocker, you will bear consequences. So if you're someone who's making fun or someone who's hurting or hurtful, you will get the consequences. And then Proverbs 19:20 is, get all the advice and instruction you can, so that you will be wise the rest of your life. And that was the one I really wanted to base off of today. I'll say that one more time. Get all of the advice and instruction that you can, so you will be wise the rest of your life. All right, so for those of you who are going to NYC this weekend, which I hope the majority of you guys are, actually I hope everybody is, I think the majority of you guys are, I already know that God is going to be doing incredible things, like not just in you guys, but in the leaders too. As a group, we're just going to go crazy. I know we're always the hypest group, so.
Yeah.
So there's going to be healing and miracles and transformation and life change this weekend, but I really want to challenge you with one really special thing that I've learned from going. I've gone to years of camps and years of retreats, and this is one thing that I really want you guys to remember. So my challenge to everybody here is for the things that we leave at the altar this weekend, let's leave them there. For the things that we go through and that we confess to God, we want to leave them at the altar. We don't want to bring them home with us. And for the things that we learn and the wisdom that we gain this weekend, I want to make sure that we bring that home with us and apply that to our everyday lives. Not just a couple days after youth convention, but for weeks and for years and for ultimately the rest of our lives. Because the wisdom that's about to be spoken and taught this weekend is about to be immaculate. And something that I've realized after years of going to camps and retreats is that a lot of times you come home with this whole Jesus high kind of thing. So we are so passionate and we're like, oh, God is so great. I love the Lord. I'm going to read my Bible every single day. I'm going to pray so much and I'm going to just stay in tune with the Spirit. But then a lot of times we're just, a couple days later, we forget about it, or we just choose to think, oh, God's far from me. It's okay. I'll wait till the next camp. I'll wait till the next event to come close to Him again. But God doesn't want our faith to be that way. God doesn't want our faith to be distant. God doesn't want our faith to only exist on these big Spark Night or this big NYC or this big youth camp that you have way next summer. He wants our faith to be constant and growing all the time.
That's good.
So, kind of went off that. But I'm here to remind you today, if you feel like God has left you, if you feel like you're alone, I just want to remind you, if you forgot, that God has not left you. You have just forgotten to acknowledge Him. And I think sometimes we need to be able to realize that God is never going to leave us. There are so many verses that say, I will never leave you, I will never forsake you. Yeah. But we need to actually apply those and realize like He's literally by our side, in us all the time. But we just have to acknowledge that He's right there with us.
Right.
So a couple years ago, I was hanging out with one of my small group leaders. Her name's Shelby. She's from Michigan. And we were getting coffee. We were getting, I don't know what we were getting, something. And she told me something really cool that I'll never forget. This is what she told me. She said, Evelyn, something so cool about you is that when you, let me go on here. Okay. She said, Evelyn, something so cool about you is that you don't let your passion for Jesus die off. So when we get back to the camps, everyone is so passionate, but Evelyn, you just keep that passion in you. And I think that's something I need to apply to my life today, because I think sometimes my faith is like a roller coaster, and that's okay, but I don't want my faith to hinder based on what camp is coming up and what big event is coming up. I want my faith to be constantly increasing. Something that she said it's just so powerful, and my prayer is for us today that we will have a faith that isn't hindering, that isn't changing, or that isn't going down or getting lessened just because of a big event that's coming to an end. But my prayer is that we don't forget the things that happened this weekend. We don't forget the things that we learned on Wednesdays and on Sundays, but in fact we just continue to grow in that faith. So really quick, I'm going to give you guys 4 practical ways to live for Jesus outside of these camps and outside of these big events that we have, so that we can keep our faith this strong. Because it's like, Evelyn, how do we do it? How do we keep our faith so strong when we're getting poured into? But then when I'm at school getting bullied, how do I feel like I'm still poured into? Right. These are 4 really good reasons. So this is another thing you guys can write down. So number 1 is get a schedule. So I'm huge on getting really organized. I have the schedule or the calendar app on my phone. It is huge. I don't write I'm going to spend time with Jesus from 4:15 to 5:30. But I have an idea of when I'm going to be able to spend that time with Jesus. And that's what I want to encourage you guys today, is that every day, I know I was talking to Whit about it too. It's so easy to just brush over the important stuff that you're living for. Right. And it's so easy to get caught up in your sports. Like sports, for me, that was my biggest thing in middle school especially. I just wanted to do every single sport possible. I wanted to do gymnastics and cheer and dance, and I'm like, okay, but what actually matters at this point? So that was something that was really huge to kind of just focus on, okay, God, I don't know why I have to give up gymnastics right now. I don't know why I have to give up, let's say, basketball. I never played basketball. I'm not even gonna act like I do. But whatever you need to do, get your schedule right so that you can be not even just at night or in the morning that you can pray and spend time in the Word, but what do you need to do to rearrange your schedule so that you can be on church at Wednesday nights? What I see these there's a couple open chairs here. Who's missing today? Those people aren't hearing this message, and they're not hearing what God has to say. yeah, what friends from your school should be here today? I don't know, stuff like that. So I just really think we need to reprioritize what actually matters.
Yep.
What do we need to do to be here on Sunday mornings? Do we need to sleep more on Saturdays so that we can be wide awake today? Do we need to schedule our Wednesdays so that our sports practices can be, we need to leave early? What does it need to be? Because we need to prioritize Jesus, because that is over all things.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Oh, and there's a verse that goes with that too. So yeah, I just kind of summarized it. Romans 12 tells us to offer our bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to the Lord. So we need to do that, whatever it takes, whatever it requires. We need to offer ourselves as that. Okay, there's number one. So that number one, I'll repeat it. It was get a schedule, and then number two is be held accountable. So whether it's a leader, a pastor, maybe an older sibling who's really, really wise with the Lord, a parent, I don't know who it may be, but for me, it was always my small group leader. I think we have a really, really awesome team of small group leaders here.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't taken the opportunity to speak to them on like a really deep level, I would take it, especially this weekend, because we're going to get a lot of personal time. So yeah, if you guys need to do that, I would definitely take action with that, because
Yeah.
we have some really, really incredible leaders here, and I really think that for each student here, that they can be a really good influence on everybody here. So that's that. So however you look up to somebody, you just need to have someone that you're held accountable to. For a while, that was Whitney for me. She still is that for me. She can ask me, hey, because she's always been one of those people that just is really real with me, and I'm really real with her. She's always been somebody that's like, hey, how's it going? Like, how are you doing with this? And we would just be really honest with each other. And I think that I really, really encourage everybody here. Actually, I'm going to say you need to have somebody that you're going to be honest with no matter what.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah 1:5 says that before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. So God set us apart. Hey boys, let's refocus, okay? So before he knew us, he set us apart from the world. So he wants that person in our lives to really, really pour into us. We just need to be able to receive it and really seek somebody that will help us.
Right.
All right, number 3, create an attitude of willingness. Okay, it's kind of confusing. We need to create a mindset that we're going to be willing to listen to what people have to say to us. So whether you're small group or maybe let's not say, maybe it's a grandparent. Let's just go on a different direction. Let's say your grandparent is your person that speaks wisdom into you. We need to have an attitude that we're going to be willing to listen to what they say, because sometimes we're like, oh, I know, I'm in 8th grade, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
However, I'm 19 and I have no idea. So let's just be honest here. We're going to learn so much. Like 10 years from now, I'd be like, wow, I thought I knew what I was doing in 7th grade. I thought I knew what I was doing when I was 19. I'm very confident that I will be growing a ton when I'm 29. So yeah, we're so easily offended by things that people speak into us. Like, hey, let's be real and say, okay, sin happens.
Right.
Mistakes happen. We get stuck by things. But we need to have a willing heart and an open ear to let people speak into us.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is something Pastor Derek says that I want you guys to hear too. If you guys want to write it down, it's a really good quote. This is something Pastor Derek said. Actually, he says a lot. We're always one tough conversation away from breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good one. I'll say it again. We're always one tough conversation away from breakthrough. And I think that's for a lot. I think that's probably for all of us. We might just have to have one uncomfortable time or one really, really honest or emotional time to become broken through this thing that's holding us for so long.
Yeah.
Hebrews 13:17 says to have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority because they keep watch over you. So your leaders, our leaders here, they care about you. I don't know how it is at your home. I don't know how it is in your school. I don't know if you have people hurting you and speaking terrible things into your life, but you have leaders here that care about you and that want to speak life into you. And that was Hebrews 13:17. And then number 4 is live with their model in mind. I'll say that again, live with their model in mind. So it's maybe your parent or your older sibling that's been so helpful to you and so wise in your walk with God. Growing up, I always would look to my sister's best friend. They've been best friends since 1st grade, and her name was Jean, and she is Jean. She lives in California now, but growing up there, she was always around, and I always wanted to mock what she did. So I would always copy her. I'd look at her, and then I'd look at me, and I would think, what can I do to be more like her? And And I think that's something that we need to do with our wise people that are over us. Because when we mock, not mock in a bad way, but when we copy and when we look at ourselves and think, what can we do to change and be more like them? I think that's something that will be very powerful and be very wise for us to make that decision. And then finally, so Hebrews 13:7 says, remember your leaders who spoke the word of God to you. Consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their faith. So that was something, if you get anything out of that verse, I want you to hear imitate their faith. Imitate the right faith, faith that will help you, that will guide you, and that will make you stronger with the Lord.
Yeah.
All right, so that was everything. I'm going to pray over, I'm just going to pray over you guys and over this next weekend coming up. And then we'll be able to go into our small groups and we'll be all set. So I know it's kind of early. I don't know if it's too early. Well, it's okay. So I'm going to pray. You guys will bow your heads with me, and then you guys will be excused to go to small groups. Oh, God, we just thank you today for bringing us all here, Lord. God, I first want to just pray for the students that are here, Jesus. Lord, I pray that their hearts would be willing to hear what you have to say this weekend, God. And if they're not going, Lord, I pray that they would still be able to seek you this weekend and still be able to grow in their faith with you this weekend, Jesus. God, I pray for the open seats that are here today, God. Lord, there are some students that aren't here that are supposed to be here today, but God, I pray that that they would still come this weekend and that they would still feel invested and see youth, and not just see youth, but they would feel invested in growing in their faith with you, Jesus. And Lord, I just also want to just pray for this weekend over it. God, there is so much that you have planned, not just for these students, not just for our youth group, but for the kingdom, God. You want to do incredible things this weekend. And God, I pray that we'd have hearts to grow, hearts to receive this weekend, God, because you have incredible things planned for us. So, Lord, we just thank you once again for this gorgeous day. We love you so much. Amen.